Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Bloomburrow. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1. Really easy one here, just an excellent white rare. Whenever this becomes a target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, you get to dig for a mana value 3 or less creature from among the top 5 cards of your library, and you can slap it right onto the battlefield. Pretty gross card. Really excellent stuff as long as you have a few ways to target it. For pick number 2, here's an excellent way to target it. We can target it to protect it from our opponent's removal spells and trigger its ability at the exact same time. I think blue-white is a pretty good deck at triggering Valiant because it's an archetype that has a bunch of flying creatures that help target your non-flying creatures. Cards like the Seed Pod Squire here and stuff, so it's a very good archetype for the Whiskervale Forerunner. Obviously, the ideal one, the one that it's very clearly going for, is red-white mice. It's a mouse itself, and it has the red-white mechanic of Valiant, but I think blue-white is a really good home for it, and Plume-Creed Escort is an excellent card. Pick 3, we'll just keep it rolling, man. Take another Plume-Creed Escort. Really get ready to protect that Forerunner or any other valuable creatures we have. We can also just curve out with this. A 2-mana 2/1 flyer we can flash out at instant speed. It's a great aggressive card in the first place. Pick 4, the blue and the white dry up a little bit here. Doesn't necessarily mean they're being super heavily drafted, because play boosters are weird. Sometimes there literally just isn't a blue or a white card, and there technically are in this pack, they're just not that good. I guess the Sky Skipper duo works with the Forerunner technically. We target it, and before it gets flickered, it would trigger the Valiant ability, so that could be okay here. But I could alternatively take Heartfire Hero, so that red-white mice, red-white Valiant is another path we could take if blue gets scooped up. Don't like Rabbit Response very much, though. There's plenty of creatures that can like buff your whole board, so I'm not that into it. Even in super aggressive, super wide board token producey decks. I'm just going to stick to our blue-white here. Pick 5, Finch Formation, great card for this deck. It can target our Whiskervale Forerunner, and it's just invasive threats for the deck that wants tons of blue and white flyers. Although Eddie Merc Crab's pretty fun and pretty good. If you've got a bunch of instant sorceries in Grave, you can cast it for super cheap. And the Enter ability is great, tapping a couple creatures. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, pretty fun. I just think Finch Formation's more likely to be good for us. It's already great with Forerunner and Flyers. Alright, well, grab the great blue-white birds uncommon for our blue-white birds deck. Night Fisher gives us a 1/1 fish whenever we play another bird, and it's just a 4/5 flyer up front. That is game-ending level of stats. An absolute beat stick. Pick 7 Plume-Creed Escort? We're going to be a triple Plume-Creed Escort deck with the Forerunner? Okay, if we ever draw the Forerunner, we're going to be having such a good time. It's ridiculous. But again, Escort just already being such a good, efficient card. Pick 8. Crumb and Get It is a little combat trick we can target our Forerunner with. I don't think these blue cards are going to be any good in this deck. So it's the 2-mana 3/1 or the 1-mana trick. I already have 3 2-drop creatures because we have triple Escort, and we can just flash this out as the 2/1 flyer, as I said, so I'm going to take the combat trick over just another 2-drop creature. Also, literally everything we've taken so far is a creature. Here's a Waterspout Warden, which is also a fine card for the blue-white flyers deck. The cool thing about this is that it's technically not a flyer initially, so you can target it with your abilities that buff your non-flyers, and then it jumps in the sky to still be another evasive threat for you. So it plays well with the mechanics of the archetype. Dazzling Denial, solid in a bird's deck. Guard Mouse, pretty mediocre, even in a mice deck or a Valiant deck. Alright, pack 2, pick 1. So the Seed Pod Squire could target our Forerunner every turn. The Hunter's Talent is just a busted card in general. Could pivot us towards blue-green birds, which is not a real archetype, but it's just such a good card. It could be worth heading in that direction. We could take another Dazzling Denial since we're going to be running a lot of birds. Or like a Mouse Trapper here. Pretty decent Valiant ability if we keep targeting it. Yeah. I mean, we got our first Dazzling Denial really late, so I feel like we can get a second pretty easily. I'm going to stick to what we're doing, though. I'm going to grab the Mouse Trapper here. I think Forerunner is more than a strong enough reason to stick to white. So I'll give up on the Hunter's Talent here. Probably going to end up dropping the Waxwane Witness. Everything else stays in for now. Pack 2, pick 2 gives us a Seed Pod Squire as an option again. Splash Portal's not very good in this deck. It's okay. Nettle Guard's okay. I mean, main deckable artifact and enchantment removal is kind of interesting to me. But the Seed Pod Squire is now also helping trigger a Mouse Trapper. Maybe we can get the Nettle Guard to come back. I don't know, I think the first Seed Pod Squire we saw went pretty late, so we actually take the Guard, wheel a Squire, and those are the two cards we want to put in this deck. Alright, pick 3 Banishing Light and get our first removal for something that's actually resolved. Pick 4, 2/3 Flying Lifelink. It's not full lifelink, you just gain 1 a turn, but it's still decent. I think the banner is very good in token producing typal decks, like rabbits. Not so sure about birds. It'll still be okay here for sure. If we run mostly birds. We're on 6 birds right now. Maybe this is better than taking Cleric. We'll see. We'll see. If we have like 10 plus birds, we'll probably play the Patchwork banner, because it does also ramp into our 5 drops. Alright, Plume-Creed Mentor is an excellent pickup. I think it's worth taking over the decent Sonar Strike removal. Just so perfect for us. Putting a +1/+1 counter on one of our non-flyers every time we play a flyer. So, you know, targeting our Forerunner, targeting our Nettle Guard. A little sad to pass up on the Flowerfoot Swordmaster, but pick 5 is late enough, we're not getting anything back. The only cards left are going to be just completely unplayable at that point. Actually, no, this pack's really good. I don't think there's any unplayable card, but incredibly unlikely to get either back. So we just take the better card by power level. Kind of think I have to take Banishing Light over Seed Pod Squire. I don't think anyone else should be interested in these Seed Pod Squires, so we should be able to get 1 or 2 copies, and we only really want 1 or 2 at 4 mana. But plenty of other players are going to be scooping up Banishing Lights. Provisioner can target the Forerunner, but so can the Sky Skipper duo. Both just kind of okay. Pretty expensive. I guess I'll grab my first Provisioner. Oh, let's go. Pick 8 Plume-Creed Mentor. Need to find a few more non-flyers, but here's the Seed Pod Squire. Although now I have double Plume-Creed Mentor triggering Valiant all the time, too. I could take Denial over the Squire. Or Crumb and get it. We only have 1 4-drop right now. I'm going to grab the Squire. Pick 10. Well, here's a non-flyer, I guess. Just to fill out the curve and get more cards to Plume-Creed Mentor onto. There's another Finch formation. Do like that. Guess we can play the Guard Mouse just for another non-flyer, and then the deck's done. It's ready. We're at 11 birds now? Let's go. We wield the Cleric. Not expecting that. Carrot Cake gives us a couple non-flyers, but it's probably another one of our first cuts. Okay, pack 3, pick 1. Judging by what we saw out of our last pack, we're going to get Plume-Creed Mentor back. So we lock that in as the wheel, which means we pick 1 the Banishing Light, probably, taking it over Storm Chaser's Talent. This is a 1/1 prowess that picks up an instant or sorcery from Grave later, then it becomes kind of a storm finisher at level 3. Pretty fun card, but we have 2 instants or sorceries in our deck, so I don't think it really fits in here. Yeah, we take Banishing Light, we will the Plume-Creed Mentor, and we're pretty happy with that pack. Pack 3, pick 2. Intrepid Rabbit is beautiful for this deck. It's going to give us 2 non-flying creatures to put counters onto, and it's going to give us 2 Valiant triggers, or just extra damage with our flyers. I mean, Intrepid Rabbit's just an incredible card in general. I think it's the best common in the format, but it is really nice in this deck too. Pack 3, pick 3 looks like a complete miss. We're not going to play enough non-creature cards for Tempest Angler to be exciting. We're not going to have enough tokens for Heirloom Epic or Rabbit Response to be exciting. And we're not doing any life gain or life loss for the Waxblade Witness. So I'll hold down that alt key, draft whatever I don't have. Pretty early in the format, I don't have a lot of this stuff, so we'll rare draft some uncommon here. I feel like I'm generally going to take Seedglaive Mentor way higher than Heirloom Epic in the future, or Heirloom Epic. So I'll draft that first here, since we're not playing either anyway. Okay, I like Shore Up here. Right? Counter removal spell and trigger Valiant on the right card, but just countering removal and like untapping a blocker and stuff can be pretty good. Another Mouse Trapper's certainly fun with the deck that's going to be triple Plume-Creed Mentor. That's definitely an option too. I guess I don't have much room for more non-creatures. I got Crumb Grid, Denial, Light, and Banner, but I've got room for one more. I'm going to take the Shore Up. Okay, pick 5. Another Seed Pod Squire. I think looking at our non-creature spells, considering triple Banishing Light and the counter spell, we're more likely to run the Squire than a Dire Downdraft, another piece of interaction. But I'm not confident either is going to make the cut. We'll see. Pick 6. Spellguyer's a lot of mana to hold up. I don't think we're doing that. We're just curving out and playing to the board. So, like, run away together on profit. I don't think either of those are very good for this deck either. I'll just take the Spellguyer. Pick 7. Feather Flight is very cute on something like the Forerunner. But most of our creatures already have flying anyway. And we already have plenty of ways to trigger Valiant without a dedicated card towards it. I'm just going to grab another counter, maybe. 2 mana being just significantly easier to hold up than 4. Could take Bravekin Duo, that maybe goes towards Valiant. But probably won't get run, and this is an easy Plume-Creed Mentor that we knew we were going to wheel. It's an easy 2-drop, non-flyer creature to curve out better. And that is going to do it for the draft. Nobody on Blue-Black Rats, sad day for the Blue-Black Rats decks. Let's build this bad boy, shall we? Alright, so we're on 47 cards. We're going to cut 7 out of here. We want to get like our nice counts of non-flyers to flyers. We want to get a good ratio here. So, I mean, we're going to drop Mentors on turn 3 or 4 ideally, so probably like don't need the big 4 or 5 mana non-flyers. Guardmouse for sure I think is a potential cut. But we want some 2 and 3 mana non-flyers ideally, so Nettle Guard, Warren Elder, and Thoughtshucker. A 1/3 though. That's probably never getting Threshold in this deck because we're not putting a lot of cards in our grave. We're never self-milling and we're not running a lot of instants or sorceries. I feel like Thoughtshucker's bad enough in this deck to cut even though it's a cheap non-flyer, but we kind of have to keep the Nettle Guard, Warren Elder, Intrepid Rabbit, Mouse Trapper, Waterspout Warden, and Whisker Veil Foreigner. That gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 non-flyers to target with our Plume-Creed Mentors. It's like about as good as it's going to get here. So I really don't want another 4-drop. We've got to cut some 3s here. Maybe the Finch formations, just because the Mentors are so much better and I can't drop the non-flyers out of this deck. Could cut the 2 Finch formations. And then that ends up being cutting enough birds to drop the banner. Still 13 birds. Hold on. We'd still have 11 birds in this deck. Banner probably stays. Even without formation. It's 11 birds, so that makes the double Dazzling Denials good too. Hey. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 birds. What do I even have room to cut here? Triple Plume-Creed Mentor, triple Plume-Creed Escort is going to be like the best thing this deck ends up doing, because that ends up being an instant speed +1/+1 counter and hexproof out of nowhere. That's super wild. And we have 3 Mentors and 3 Escorts that are all triggering Valiant. Maybe Seed Pod Squires. The 4 mana 3/3 flyer thing. That would be cutting more birds. That goes down to 9 birds at that point. Still want to run at least 10, I think, so I could cut like 1 Seed Pod Squire. Maybe we go lower curve and treat this as mostly just buffing the board and a little bit less as mana. But even as mana, just towards playing a creature and holding up a Dazzling Denial or a Shore Up, it's going to be good. Yeah, what if I drop the Squires? I could actually go like lower curve here and put the Provisioners back in, and those can be played early. Or not the Provisioners, the Finch Formations. We put them back in. Those can be played early or Offspringed in the late game as 6 drops. So the flexibility is pretty great on them. I could even maybe cut a land for 1 more card, considering everything is castable at like 3 or less mana. Almost everything is castable for 3 or less mana. What would we put in? Maybe the Carrot Cake? Just for a couple more non-flyers to target. Could be cute. Maybe put the 1 Seed Pod Squire back in, just up that bird count. Over a land. Banner is another mana too. Sure, I'll put 1 Squire back in. Drop 1 land. 14 blue cards, 13 white. I guess I kind of want to go more 50-50 on it then. Only 1 double blue card in the deck, and it's a 5-drop. Yeah, this looks pretty sweet. I mean, obviously blue-white birds was just wide open. And we have so many really excellent ways to trigger Forerunner's Valiant if we ever hit that. And we're running a massive amount of mana value 3 or less creatures to make sure that this is putting stuff on the board. Yeah, this looks pretty awesome. Very excited about this one. Maybe it can even pull us into the mythic ranks. But we'll find out how high we can fly with our blue-white birds deck as we hop into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. Not exactly what we want in an opener, but it's got both our colors. And we probably just counter their 2-drop. Yep. No 2-drops of our own is the big problem, plus our 3-drop is something we'd usually rather play at 4 mana. But counter works out fine. Now we can tap out turn 3, turn 4, and then have Banishing Light for one of their resolved threats. We'll get the game rolling. Looks fine. Okay. That looks fine. Ooh. Show me another removal spell or cry? I mean, I got to, right? Because this triggers when it enters too. Yeah. I mean, it would be immediately triggering Forerunner next turn. And we don't know when we're going to draw one of our hexproof birds. They've already spent 1 removal spell. We pray they do not have a second. Reading over the Forerunner. You can look, but you cannot touch. They're touching it. Rip. Well, still made them skip their whole turn, pretty much, to deal with that. This hand is pretty bad without a non-flyer. Double Starscape Cleric, so any life gain they hit here is going to be disgusting. That can't block anything, though. So try to outrace it, but I can also just trade my Finch formation for it. Because these offspring are exactly big enough to trade into the Starscape Cleric. Life Creed Duo. We are trading into that Cleric if they offer it, and they do not offer it. Fair enough. That's to be expected. I mean, at this point, if I just Banishing Light the Life Creed Duo, we stop that from popping off, and I can hold up a Dazzling Denial. This also means they have no blocks here. And they die pretty quick. They would die a turn quicker if I played Mentor, but then they might resolve something really important this turn. No. They have exactly enough. I guess I just counter the next creature that they play to counter the life gain. They don't have a follow-up creature. Okay, here we go. Now I have something for the Plume Creed Mentor. Will be a mana off the denial, though. And I honestly probably still kill them just playing Nettle Guard and holding up Dazzling Denial. 4 life. We can counter one of their creatures for sure. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. And that's the game. Start off 1-0, heading into game 2. Alright, another curve that doesn't start till turn 3, and we're on the draw as well. It's kind of rough, but it has both the colors. Can't really mulligan a hand like that. As much as I would like a better hand. It's too likely to be slightly worse being down a card. Cool. Formation into the rabbit. Double trigger, I guess. Seems fine. Turn 5, I get to play a Seed Pod Squire and hold up a Shore Up. That should be a pretty good turn. They threw my bird in the trash. It's really depressing imagery. Bramble Guard Captain. That is really good with Valiant cards, and we have not drawn any of our triple Banishing Lights here, so could be getting us here. Now I can Forerunner Shore Up, which is going to be a massive turn. This triggers during our opponent's turn too. Yeah, so we actually Seed Pod Squire instead, because, I mean, either of these is not going to be particularly good blockers. I guess the Seed Pod Squire is a worse blocker. Maybe it was worth rabbiting first just for that, but with Seed Pod Squire, we can try to really pop off with Forerunner, where I trigger it during my turn and then trigger it again with a Shore Up during their turn. Plays bad if they have instant speed removal that they're going to hold up immediately, but if they tap out this turn, it'll be pretty nice. 6 damage, down to 8. We're going to need some hits off the Forerunner to live here. Now they have Captain plus Heartfire Hero combo, where this gets a +1/+1 counter every single turn. I mean, yeah, they're just assembling Voltron, basically. Just get comboed out of the game pretty quick. Yep. Guess I'll die. We are at 6. Three attackers. 2 blockers. I could untap Seed Pod Squire with Shore Up, worst case scenario. Yeah, I mean, if I miss off of the Forerunner, we can scoop, but I think I have to just go for it here because we need things to swing way back in our favor, and that is a very big start to that. We need just incredible hits off of Forerunner. Heartfire Hero is going to get to the point where if it dies, it kills us, because it deals damage equal to its power when it dies. So if they just like Brambleguard Captain up the hero, it's 3 power already, +2/+0 from Captain. If it dies, it deals 5. And I actually can't block it without killing it right now. So yeah, I guess because Heartfire Hero, we're pretty much dead no matter what. Because we're at 1. Best case scenario. Wait, no, it's going to have 3 toughness. Never mind. It'll have 3 toughness. I can chump it. Rum and get it pre-combat for a bigger buff. Off of the +X+O. That is a 3 toughness Heartfire Hero, so I can chump block it to not die. Send in the team. So I can guaranteed have another blocker up by shoring up the Squire, but it's going to be more value in the long run if I shore up the Forerunner and hit something. And if I shore up the Forerunner and miss out of the top 4, I still just take 2 this turn and I'm technically alive. So I'm going to shore up the Forerunner. Shoring up the Forerunner also lets me kill the Brambleguard Captain if they don't have interaction. Warren Elder or another Plume-Creed Mentor? Another Plume-Creed Mentor is very funny. Oh, it only puts something on board during our turn. Oof. I forgot about that. That's my bad. I guess I probably should have just shored up the Seed Pod Squire then. But I do have enough mana to put this out there. And trigger Forerunner immediately, which is a pretty big deal. Could Patchwork Banner. Feels better to Mentor the Forerunner. Have to chump Heartfire Hero or go to 1, killing it. So 1 is not 0. I could trigger Forerunner with Squire. I mean, I just have overkill amounts of Valiant in this deck. As I said when I drafted it, I was like, well, if we ever draw Forerunner, we're just popping off. I want to hold Plume-Creed Escort up no matter what, so if I banner here, I have 4 mana up afterward. I can't play anything else alongside the banner, so that feels wrong. It's probably Plume-Creed Mentor, hold up Plume-Creed Escort. And just don't attack here. Yeah. But it is 3 blockers already. I can get a 4th off Escort. No, I can't get a 4th because I don't get them out during my opponent's turn. We just talked about that. Yeah, no, 4 life, we just pass them. So if they find a combat trick for Heartfire Hero, no, or a second Heartfire Hero, then I'm at functionally 0. God dang it. They do just pass. That's something for me. I think I got a play to the board. Mouse Trapper. That's pretty big with all this chicanery. Oh, it is only once per turn still, though. Yeah, maybe not so big. Birds. Rabbit gives me a chump blocker that doesn't kill Heartfire Hero. Because I don't have the mana up for the Mouse Trapper after this, but I have multiple blockers. And I'm only attacking the sky anyway. Guess I take a 2/2 over a 2/1 since the ETB is not going to do anything right now. Bonus Valiant. All right. Well, if I knew I was going to hit Finch formation, I guess I could have lethaled that turn. But I can definitely not die on the crackback. I can block the 3/3 with a 1/1. I can block the 1/1 with a 4/2 and then sack itself to destroy my own banner just so that I don't kill it. 1/1. Boop there, boop there. There's the concession. Again, I might have missed lethal there. I don't think I missed onboard lethal, but it could have been. I definitely missed lethal out of the top 4 coming in hot. Maybe I should have actually, with the Intrepid Rabbit triggers, thrown one of those on the Forerunner so that pre-combat I could see exactly what I was hitting there, so that I knew if I hit the Finch formation that, you know, I'm jumping the Forerunner in the sky and killing them. Yeah, that's good to know for the future. If we have Forerunner on board, trying to get the trigger pre-combat instead of waiting for the C-Pod Squire to do the trigger means that we could hit a Finch formation pre-combat and send the super beefy Forerunner in and get like the lethal swing there. All right, I mean, really excellent game though. I mean, if they can't kill the Forerunner, our deck does do insane things with the card, so we are now 2-0 heading into game 3. All right, on the play for game 3, it's all flyers here, so no value from these enter the battlefield effects, but they're also all birds, so huge value from Patchwork Banner. All right, there's a 2-drop. Please cast something. Yay, we did it. Hey, Kingfisher. That gives us the fish to throw some tokens on, I guess. We definitely don't banner first, do we? I guess if I top deck a land, that means the first card I play could be Nightfisher. This is probably a little greedy. But let's top deck a land, shall we? It's definitely gambly. No shroud tricks in our hand, no hexproof tricks in our hand. And this would be our only non-flyer to play so that our mentors and formations do something more. No Banishing Light. No whammies, no whammies. If they do have Banishing Light, we do have one Nettle Guard in our deck, so we might blow it up later. So far, so good. Alright, I hate that their Nettle Guard can kill our banner. That'd be super bad for us, and they're definitely going to do it because they're about to see a bunch of birds on board, but that's okay. I think we just stack up the dream team, right? Just go for triple triggers soon. Another non-flyer seems like kind of a big deal, so I'm gonna get that. They do have 5 toughness here if I send in. That's probably a bad idea. If I target the Warden and then its ability resolves before this resolves, does that counter this from happening? I hope not. Maybe it does. If you want to combat trick my Plume Creed Mentor, you got it, because that means you don't have the mana to blow up my Patchwork Banner. Oh, wait. I literally said out loud the onboard combat trick that they have. If they blow up the banner, the Mentor's only 3 toughness, and I lose that fight. Well, if they blow up the banner, then I can definitely resolve Banishing Light. Let's go. Boop. Boop. Let's see how this works. Let's see if it resolves for us. Nettle Guard of our own? Or do I want to trigger double Mentor again? I guess that'll show us for sure how the Plume Creed Mentor thing works. These are both going to have flying anyway. Or no, Forerunner's not going to have flying, but it's going to be so big it doesn't matter. Okay, one on each again. Let's see if all the Warden abilities resolve or only the two. Oh, it's when it attacks. Okay. It doesn't matter. I thought it was when a creature enters the battlefield. It's if a creature entered the battlefield this turn, when it attacks, it gets flying. Okay. That's super fine. Unfortunately, their blocks are actually pretty decent here, thanks to the 3-4 reach thing. So just the Warden. But we are just going to like Wombo Combo Town, so I still feel pretty good. Yeah, again, our Mentor attacks are horrible because they blow up the banner and eat a Mentor. So that's definitely not going in, and I'm just not putting Forerunner at risk. They could triple block and kill it, or they could have a combat trick of some kind. Forerunner's just way too strong in this deck to put it at risk here. Which means, I guess, after the first +1/+1, after the first Valiant trigger on Forerunner resolves, we're probably supposed to just put every single counter onto the Waterspout Warden from then on. Because I kind of don't care how big Forerunner is, I'm not throwing it in harm's way. Well, I don't know if this is the right play, but it's the funniest play. Let's go. Yeah, they're done. They're tired. They're like, okay, so not a single player in a 10-mile radius was drafting blue-white birds in your pod? That is correct, opponent. That is accurate. We got the freebie deck, and we are now 3-0 heading into Game 4. Game 4, let's go. Ooh, I think this is our first opening hand with a 2-drop. At least in the last 3 games. We actually have a mild curve. Hello. Okay, now we have an insane curve. It's a way better card to target the Nettle Guard with. And follow up with all our other birds. This is the dream here. We've even got the Mouse Trapper to start targeting. A million ways to target it. Send in a 4/4 Nettle Guard. 2 mana 4/4 seems decent. Druid of the Spade. That is just a 2/3 right now, so as soon as I play another flyer, that does nothing. Can also Crumb and get it to trigger, but I think I'd rather just play Finch Formation and fly over for 5,000 damage. Okay, we want that to resolve first, so that it's definitely targeting a non-flyer, just in case the ability doesn't resolve otherwise. But I think it resolves either way. Again, I'm not sure. We might figure that out today, but luckily the way they designed these cards, that doesn't come up very often. That you're giving a non-flyer flying before your Plume Creed Mentor ability resolves. Alright. Intrepid Rabbit's a lot of blockers on the ground, but they're on the ground. So we still got plenty of damage coming in hot, especially if they attack here, they're dead. If they don't have a good 1-mana green spell. They must have one, though, because otherwise they would have done the Offspring on the Intrepid Rabbit. I mean, show me the 1-drop, right? It must be the +1/+3 combat trick. How do I play around that? Buff the birds and hold up a Crumb and get it instead of casting Banishing Light. It feels like either way we play, we're still in such a winning position anyway. I'm going to buff the birds, hold up the Crumb and get it here. So they're going to +1/+3 untap and then make sure this goes in our favor. Hold up. So I figured out exactly what was in their hand, and then I didn't realize that this attack is actually pretty bad against it. But I guess, I mean, we only lose a Finch formation. It's not the end of the world. It's not good, though. Yeah, because I can't kill the Druid if I target this, so all I'm doing is saving the flyer. I would rather save the beefy ground troop, I think. Maybe it is better to save the flyer, because this doesn't have permanent reach, it's temporary reach. Yeah, I guess I just saved the flyer. And that's lethal on board. They play a flying reach blocker, I banishing light it, so they need to have removal specifically now. And they don't. Alright. Well, that line last turn was definitely not our best line. I did a good job figuring out exactly why they would hold up a single green mana, and then I didn't take that information and utilize it well discovering our line, but doesn't matter. Our deck is pretty absurd, and it's just been curving out on people. We are 4-0 heading into Game 5. All right, Game 5. No blue source makes this pretty unkeepable, right? The only castable spell is Banishing Light until turn 4, so it's only reactive, and we have a double blue card at the top of the curve. A lot can go wrong with our draws. A lot can go wrong with our draws here as well, but at least we have 2 colors, and I do not want to mulligan all the way down to 5. So let's see how this works out. So far, so good. We hit a 2-drop. Now we have something castable. Uh-oh. Cast a creature from your grave by foraging in addition to paying its other costs? Well, that's disgusting. I'm going to banish that as soon as I get the opportunity. They can recast every creature in their grave by sacking a food or exiling 3 other cards. They come back with a finality counter, so they will get exiled when they die again, but that's still really good. I guess I could have traded into it, but with double Banishing Light, I'd rather keep our threat. Unless we don't hit the double Banishing Light. But we don't need to kill the Adept until a good bit later in the game, because they have nothing in their grave right now. Alright, some good life drain here. Can 2-for myself to kill the Adept now with Shore Up, but that feels very bad. When again, I have the 1-for-1 removal in hand. The draws are bad, though. They're super bad. 2-lander on the draw, no lands so far. Cultivator. Sure, I really need to keep something on board. Beautiful. I would say just in time, but it still feels a little late here. They only have 1 card in their grave for Cultivator, and my block is horrible, so we send. Monolith can get sacked to draw them a couple cards. And then that's the 2nd card in their graveyard. Alright, here's additional removal. And if I Banishing Light again, the board state is stable, but the Monolith is still slowly winning the game. I play anything else, it's very easy for them to forage and make this a 3-4, and then we don't have any blocks, because again, they can sack Monolith, that's a 3rd card in grave, exile, send in a 3-4 against a 2-3. Gotta just banish. This Dazzling Denial is awful when you are mana screwed like this. We are not going to be able to counter anything with it, because by the time I have enough mana to like play a 3-drop and hold it up, they're just going to have more than enough mana to just pay the extra 4 at this rate. Okay, that's actually some real good flexibility from early winter. So let them recast every creature in their grave, or I give them a 3-4 immediately. I think I have to give them the Adept, because it hits us less hard, and it doesn't do anything yet with creatures in grave. Here's a card to trade into the Adept just to keep it off of us. There's an Assassin, which drains me alongside the Monolith draining me. We're so dead. Reach blocker, even if we could establish some kind of counterattacks here. Rip. 0 good blocks for a 3/3. Not even the 1/3, we just bounce off that. Yeah, now we're just moving on. I'm technically not like dead yet, but I go to like 3 or something. And we just inevitably die to the Monolith. Bad draws were bad. We had a terrible opener. We had to mulligan, had the 2-lander, and drew lands way too slow. Wasn't really a game we could play out. Alright, well, we're on the draw, sadly, but we technically have both colors here off of the patchwork banner. That's going to have to do a lot of work for us. Don't want to follow up with the mulligan just twice in a row. And we did immediately hit the white source, which is quite helpful. Black-red from our opponent. Very aggressive deck. Discard a non-land or 2 lands. I'd probably ditch the short up. Maybe the banner? No, we got enough birds in this deck. Banner's probably going to play pretty well. Really don't think we're ditching 2 lands there, though. This just starts damaging me, right? Yeah, I can draw cards if I run out of stuff. But that's not going to happen for a while. Alright, well, I guess I should have discarded 2 lands because we drew 2 more. So, looks awkward. Harnesser of Storms. They cast any otter or non-creature spell and they get to draw another card to play that turn. Wow, yeah, I really should have discarded 2 lands. I mean, I did not get to scry 2 or just look at the top 2 cards of my library, so had no way of knowing we were about to flood out. But it did play real bad to discard the shore up. Wow. Insanely bad to discard the shore up. This is a 4/3 on attacks. Into a 1/4 and a 2/2. I get to kill the Harnesser of Storms, I guess. Not worth it. This is the polar opposite of last game, but hopefully it ends a little better. There's the Monolith again, which has been great for our opponents today. See how it plays out here. Mouse Trapper. That's actually pretty real here, because now the Warden gets flying just by playing a creature. And then I buff the Warden with the Seed Pod Squire because there's no point in tapping something right now, since both my creatures have flying anyway. I should not have played that land. Okay, it's 1 or fewer cards, thank God. If it was 2 or fewer, that was going to be a huge misplay. Yeah, we need this to resolve first. So that is the order we need. Boop, boop. They're down to 6. I think I was already talking about not playing more lands. I was definitely thinking it, because the Bandit's talent. And then I forgot because I got excited about Mouse Trapper. Okay, 1/1 removal, but it does kill our only actual flyer. That Monolith putting in work here, keeping them a little alive. Buying some time. Vanishing Light is something. Just banish the Coruscation Mage so I can attack with both without losing a creature? Do I banish the Harnesser? That shuts off their card draw and then they just trade 1/1 and go to 4. It's a hard choice between these two. I think I just shut off the card draw. Take a 1/1 trade on board. And they gotta choose the Warden, right? These are both threatening cards. Mousetrapper's the choice. I think I'd be happier to keep Warden on board than Mousetrapper, so we're good with that. Really not cool with these draws, though. 1-for-1 trade is a 1-for-1 trade. If I don't draw infinitely worse than my opponent, then we can still win this game, but so far so bad on that. Alright, they're drawing pretty bad too now. They can always monolith just to draw two, and that puts them enough ahead to start establishing a board state here. Yep, there it goes. They miss, though? They just level up? Alright, well, here's a 3-4 flyer. Can play one of these lands. Graveyard Recursion, or Forage here. Harnesser of Storms. Okay. Is there any reason to pre-combat this? No. Looks like they're just gonna die to flyers, as you do. Wow. What a bloody game of Magic. Everybody drew more than half the lands in their deck, less than halfway through the deck. A little anticlimactic, but I will take any victory I can get. We are 5-1 now. In the money out of the draft no matter what, and again, I love this deck, and I'm super excited to see how far it can go. I think it's got a shot at the trophy. Right, really sweet hand here, curving out nice and quick. Shore up and Dazzling Denial for cheap interaction once these are on board. This is my favorite hand in a few games. Our opponent's on a double mulligan. That is rough. They're going to need some really high quality cards to get in it, but Burrowguard Mentor is a great one with the token production to go alongside it. We'll see if they've got that here. I'm going to start with the 3-1. It is the most likely to be able to threaten to trade with the Mentor no matter what they play this turn. Paw Patch Recruit, yep, still big enough to trade into Mentor. Pretty happy with that play. Get this off the board. Alright. Can Elder holding up the shore up or just play a Warden? Either way, I'm only playing a 2 toughness card anyway, so I'll go for the Warren Elder here. Don't think this is a game we're really trying to outrace our opponent. We're just trying to survive long enough to use our natural card advantage from all their mulligans to our benefit. Yeah, I mean, they're just out of plays now already. So now I just kill the Recruit with Shore Up, or they don't attack. And we hold up Dazzling Denial for anything they draw into. I'm also threatening to just activate Warren Elder's own ability here. The one issue we have is we are taking 4 a turn. Nettleguard and Duo get in there. Yep. We do need to hit something. Ooh, a 2-drop plays right around the Dazzling Denial. Sad. Okay, Banner is very bad right now. We've drawn none of our 11 birds or whatever. We have a Rabbit Cleric and a Frog Soldier as well. So it doesn't work on these. Can't buff both of them. Feels like a very bad idea to choose one of these 2 card types. Man. Probably have to trade into Nettleguard. feel like Warren Elder is actually the better card for a long game than the Waterspout Warden right now. They've got the 2 mana again. Alright, correct draws, opponent. It's wild. Top deck the 2-drop Mana Dork I can't counter, and then because of the 2-drop Mana Dork now, I can't counter the 3-drop. Because I've drawn 0 birds. Well, I feel like this keep was good, but wow, it did not work out. Now we're actually dying pretty quick. Yeah, I can't do anything about the flyers. We're taking 3 in the sky every turn. Warren Elder does its best to hold everything on the ground away, but die in not too many swings. Even if I draw targeted removal, they put +1/+1 counters all over the board. Okay, finally. Finally got use out of Dazzling Denial. Take 3. This is a 3/2 flash flyer I can put on the board and then give everybody +1/+1 till end of turn to eat the Moonrise Cleric. Force them to use removal on this immediately by giving it self-hexproof. They didn't use removal, which means we block and buff. Because now they can't even target it. Plus I still have these up. Thanks to the banner. Beautiful turn. This is where we start to recover now. This is the 8th mana to double Warren Elder if I need to. I don't think I can attack 9 to 25. I guess I could. Oof. Wow. Yeah, that's gain 3. And now I need to hit creatures, and I definitely can't attack because they can just go wide. Gross. Another great draw for our opponent. 1 turn late, my friend. 1 turn late. Oh, that feels bad. I don't want to double buff and not have denial up here. So am I spending a crumb and get it? I can theoretically just double buff and not have to spend crumb and get it, but it feels so much safer to just spend crumb and get it. It's kind of a bummer. It's a lot of blockers. And a lot of attackers for the Warren Elder. Denial and Shore Up are up. Can shore up the Escort to kill the duo. While still getting the full damage swing there. Unless they top decked instant speed removal. They did not. That gets countered. Now I'm out of cards. We're both out of cards, and I think I'm slightly ahead on board. Because we get to keep attacking every turn, and they don't. Single Warren Elder ability is going to be enough on blocks here. Okay, that could be very devastating if they hit any cards that make 2 rabbits in 1 turn. Hello. Don't get to buff this turn. But now any birds are super, super good draws. There's still like 9 of them in there. We only drew 2 so far. 9 out of 21. Solid odds. Alright, that's not groovy, but I'm still ahead thanks to the Flyers. Hello. I actually don't even think I do that, do I? Because I'm giving them 2+1/+1 counters to do that. I kill them in 2 flying swings. If I just do this and then they don't find a crackback lethal, they are dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have exact lethal on board if they can kill everything on my board. And I just don't think they can, so we just pass and then send in the Flyers and end it. Alright. Oh, if they had the +2/+1 to everybody, that would have killed me as well. Maybe we could have played around that with holding one of the Flyers back, but then it would have taken 3 turns to kill them in the sky, so I don't know if that would be worth it. Banishing Light would not have played around the +2/+1 to everybody, I'm pretty sure. Because I could exile the host, but then they can put 2 +1/+1 counters on either of the tramplers. And yeah, they would still just have lethal with +2/+1 to everybody. I could put the Trapper here, the Rabbit here, this Rabbit there, but +2/+1 would still be I take 6 there, and I get trampled over for lethal there. Yeah, we didn't have a way to survive Rabbit response unless I attacked with literally no one, so I think it was right to just go for 2-turn lethal there. And luckily they did not have Rabbit response, and we barely grind that one out. I mean, incredibly impressive stuff from our opponent's deck, considering they were on the multi-5, and we were on the back foot like the whole time. So, not the whole time, but like the first half of the game for sure. Luckily, we did manage to recover and then win the top deck war a little bit. But yeah, super nice deck from our opponent. We are 6-1 now, heading into game number 8. And I haven't been paying attention to my rank, but it looks like it literally hasn't changed at all, like all draft, which is weird. I think I should technically be mythic by now. Maybe that's a visual bug. Maybe I should go check the profile. I guess since it's giving me time to cancel the game, I'll go check. I think I'm supposed to be mythic. Yeah, I've been like diamond 3 ticks this whole draft. It's not giving me my ranks. I'm going to be really mad if it doesn't give me my ranks. Am I just misremembering and it has been, and I've just been low diamond tier 1? I'm going to reboot Arena and see if that changes anything, but I am actually trying to hit mythic this month. At least top 1500 to get the play-in points to play the qualifier play-in event, but ideally top 200. So that I can just play the qualifier weekend, because the qualifier weekend that's upcoming is a Bloomburrow sealed qualifier weekend. So I would like to play some more Bloomburrow sealed. Oh, the season's over on the 31st? Aw, man. Doesn't make any sense. But the season ends on the 1st. I guess I'm too late because the season ends on the 31st. Dang it. Well, that's why I wasn't ranking up. That's annoying. I thought the season always swapped over on the 1st of the month. Guess I was wrong. And also, all those games were for literally no ranks because I didn't reboot Arena yet, so I didn't even get updates on my gold rank. That's brutal. Finally got the excellent draft that would have just steamrolled our way into high mythic numbers, but it was too late because I didn't realize the ranks swapped over today. Well, we got to play some qualifier weekend play-in events then. But that just means more competitive Bloomburrow sealed for you all. Alright, here we are for the final battle. Forced Mole for sure. Another terrible hand. I'm going to mull the 5 on this one. This is the best hand we've seen so far, but it's still a pretty bad one. It's just a really rough draw this time around. Yeah, gross. We just hold on to Dazzling Denial as our first play. But bad draws are bad. Black-red, super aggressive archetype. The lizards are all about having dealt damage to your opponent. So if we stumble at all, we could die really quickly. It's pretty easy to stumble with this hand. That is definitely countered. This card has a lot of really stupid synergies. Luckily, we did not stumble. We get to roll out with the Water Spout Warden here. And I've got the mana for everything in my hand. Sure. Throw my frog in the trash. Tragic. Super rude. Coruscation Mage doubled up. Super good card when you double it up. They get a 2/2 and a 1/1 and ping me for 2 every time they play a non-creature spell. How greedy am I? Do we really pray for that top deck land to play the Night Fisher before the Finch formation? Or do I just play this? Pretty sure I'm supposed to just play this. Our odds of top decking a land are like 50-50 at best, and I think they're a little below that right now. Oh no, another bomb rare mouse. Lets them draw a card every time they target it. They have to play it during the turn that they exile it, so it's impulse draw, but it is card draw nonetheless. And that's a lot of damage. Wow, their wolf is very talkative. Well, here's a couple 3 toughness blockers. 12 life, I don't think I can swing, right? I guess this doesn't have prowess. I can block here. I'm taking 3 on board. If they prowess, I take 3, 4, 5, 6. Because these give me a double ping. Yeah, I'm not exactly dying here. Without a great spell. I guess removal on Mentor would be close to dying. But it would also be horrible, even if I held my blockers up. Because they wouldn't send in the Coruscation Mage, but I still take the Challenger damage. Just die to a couple other pings. Well, I think we've died. I don't think this hand was going to cut it. I probably played a little too aggressively here, and we might have survived another turn. But the amount of chip damage that they have going between Coruscation Mage and now the Steam Path Charger means even if we played really defensively there, maybe they just like kick the Steam Charger for a turn, then they still just cast another couple spells on us and kill us just a little bit later. Hey, no attacks this turn, that's something. This is awkward, because Mousetrapper is our best shore-up target, but I don't want to attack with it at all, because they could just find decent blocks. Like, I want to attack with Night Fisher and then untap it to still have 2 blockers up. Actually, I might be dead to this Menace. 3 power Menace. Yeah, I double block there and die to all this. Or I block over here and die to that. No, we're so dead no matter what, right? I could Mousetrapper, shore up, tap that. Block here, take 3, go to 1. I guess that's literally the only line that lives right now. And they have to top deck no spells here. Any non-creature spell kills us, and any creature kills us next turn. I mean, even if they hit nothing, they kill us next turn by attacking with everybody twice. All right, that's not going to cut it. That is an easy all attack, wipe us out. 6 and 2 it is. How does that immediately drop me down to gold tier 2? You're supposed to have 1 loss of breathing room. Plus, I should have been gold tier 1 with like 2 or 3 extra ranks. Well, it doesn't matter. Rank doesn't matter now this season. I was getting a little frustrated with my first Bloomburrow drafts because I think that we've had just an incredible deck in every draft so far, and I was trying to get towards top mythic, but we just ended up, like 4-3, 5-3 kind of stuff that doesn't quite get there. But this season, this August competitive season, if we're top 250 mythic this month, we qualify for some constructed format that I don't care about at all, so don't really care about being top 250 this season. Because I'm not going to play the qualifier weekend anyway. So now we get to do just more carefree drafts. Don't have to stress too much about the ladder. It's a bummer that the ladder stressing just didn't even matter in the end because the season ended a day earlier than I thought it would. This hand's pretty incredible. I would be very impressed if our opponent can beat this, and if they can, they definitely earned it here. If we top deck an island, that's when this hand is perfect and almost unstoppable. Because guard into mentor into squire is just an absurd amount of damage super quickly. Now I don't even need the land. We can just play guard into mentor into mentor. Yikes. Tempest Angler, that's cool, but I don't think we care because double mentor is broken in half. Go team, go! Go team, go! Goodbye, opponent. It was fun playing. They gotta show me some mythics or some rares real quick. It is a bold move if they don't have the board wipe. This is just going to be a shore up on blocks, I guess, and I dazzling denial that and ruin their day, and then they die. Fairly sure the play is to hold up dazzling denial. Into the Flood Maw. Try to bounce the Nettle Guard. Do I shore up instead of dazzling denial? Man, I really wish I had double blue here, but I guess I do shore up instead of dazzling denial. Alright, that was their only interaction. They didn't have a shore up on blocks either. Well, that was obviously pretty absurd. I mean, a 2-mana 6/4 is pretty stupid when you get the double mentor and you get to do stuff like that. So, yeah, not much to say. Loved the deck. Our only 2 losses were to some variants for sure, some weaker draws from our deck, some stronger opponents. My memory is horrific, so I don't remember the losses 100%. But I'm pretty sure it was a lot of like mana stumbling and stuff, which could be a little self-imposed because we were running 16 lands, but I think one of the losses was flood-based. I thought we had 1 flood and 1 screw. I could be wrong, though. Maybe we won all those games we flooded in the end. Yeah, no, this deck was awesome. I'm really happy with the path I took as well of the Forerunner into taking these escorts really highly. I mean, that was just such a solid game plan to get started with. A very, very simple, streamlined deck idea that we can easily draft around towards these mentors and stuff. I think the Waterspout Warden, incredible in this kind of deck. You have got to find your yin and yang. You've got to mix your peanut butter with your jelly, have your non-flying creatures and your flying creatures, where the big power of a lot of these decks is being able to attack with all evasive threats so your opponent can't block anything. And the Waterspout Warden is kind of the perfect card to help you do that, because it's going to be your flying, hard to block threat, but it's also technically a ground creature to target with your mentors and your seed pod squires and stuff. So really liked the Waterspout Warden in here. I think that is pretty solid in this archetype and just bad everywhere else, but it's good in this deck. Really happy with the Nettle Guard and the Warren Elder as well. Getting some more ground troops, especially at 2 mana, was great. Mouse Trapper was just never all that exciting. I feel like this card is going to go really down in my pick order as the format progresses. I've tried it multiple times and it's always just been awkward. Never particularly good. I would rather have just had another Nettle Guard or something, honestly, to more consistently get to play a Nettle Guard into a Plume Green Mentor. We had multiple games with like a Mentor with no 2-drop or a Mentor with an Escort as the 2-drop. Just a second Nettle Guard I think would have been much better than the Mouse Trapper. So this is the biggest underperformer, this is the biggest overperformer, but the deck as a whole was just fantastic and really happy with pretty much everything in it. Great stuff out of the draft. That is our first trophy run since the set's released. We did get one trophy in the early access, and that was also with blue-white flyers. And it was also with the Valiant thing, I think. It was basically the same kind of deck. Maybe this is just my jam. This is just my best archetype in the format. I don't know. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.